Hello YouTube friends and family, this is your boy GV Reviews. Today I'm going to talk to you about the 2018, that's a correction from the last video I did, 2018 Jeep Grand Cherokee. It's a beautiful car, as you can see behind me. It's brand new. I think this car has less than 3,000 miles on it, and I've had the pleasure of driving it for a little over 2 weeks. So I'm going to get into this review and talk to you a little bit about the things that it has in terms of features, and we'll go over the fit and finish of the car. All right, with that, let's go. So the 2018 Jeep Cherokee Grand Cherokee is actually quite nice. As I've talked to you about before, you know, I'm not very familiar with American cars just because I haven't driven one in a while. But this one is actually quite nice. One of the things that I found surprising about this, and I'm going to do this first because this is one of the things that used to be my pet peeve a long time ago with American cars, is they always had this huge area for the radio, and I was like, what the heck is that? And if you remember from the past, for my older subscribers, in the past, this part would just be a huge radio thing. Like, the knobs would be gigantic and there would be no real use for it. But now, this big space that used to be the space for this gigantic radio here is now super useful because it is a touchscreen display, right? So their OnStar system, the OnStar system is actually quite nice. Everything is touchscreen. I mean, it is like slick. I mean, as you can see, we'll go through some of the things really quickly, but if you see, like here, you have your Sirius XM radio, so you can go in there and you can do all your AM, FM, and your XM stuff. You have your multimedia stuff, so it connects to your phone via Bluetooth, so you can play music, things like that. Your climate control, everything is automated. As you can see, you can do your AC, your recirculation stuff. It has heated and cool seats. This one, and I'll talk more about that when I get up, but it's actually pretty nice. And everything moves, like, you know, you just move the kind of thing. This touchscreen is actually pretty slick. It's one of the better ones that I've seen on the market, and that's comparing, you know, American cars with Japanese cars with German and British cars. It is slick. It has, you know, the kind of the standard apps that you'll find with the kind of the OnStar Connect thing. It actually has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, depending on how you hook up a USB to the car. These two things will not work with Bluetooth, but if you hook it up with the USBs here at the bottom, depending on what type of phone you have, either Apple CarPlay or Android Auto will come on. And then, so you have all these different things, and it also has the Wi-Fi hotspot if you enable that when you purchase the car. And like I said, this car has only 3,100 miles on it, so I was able to drive this car brand new, basically, to kind of let you know what I like about it. Going to the controls, here are your driver controls for your heated seats and your vented seats. It even has a heated steering wheel, which is really nice. And the heated seats and vented seats. The thing that I told you that I didn't like about another car that I reviewed is that the heated seats, while they're great, and I've never had problems with heated seats in the past with one of my other vehicles that I owned, the fans in the vented seats sometimes go out, and then that is like a, you know, several $100 fix. And so for me, I stay away from vented seats unless you just know your car's going to be sitting in the sun. With my cars, they are typically in the garage, so I don't worry about that too much. The navigation is pretty slick and pretty easy to work out. As you can see, here's, like, you push on this if you want to put in an address, if you just want to see the map, and the map has different settings where you can do 3D settings, things like that. I'm gonna go a little bit closer because I think you can't see it when it's far out, but it has different settings, which I find pretty good. And then if we go to map again, you see if it's your home address or your work address, you can program it in, which it's cool in the beginning, but if you don't know how to get home or to work, then I think it's kind of crazy. The other thing is, with any installed navigation, while they're great, you know, I tend to default to other navigation services, Waze, Google Maps, even the Apple navigation program, I find that they're a bit more useful only because they do real-time route alteration, which your navigation will do that, but it typically doesn't work as fast. And then your phone, if you have your phone connected, it'll pair to your phone, and you can choose to either pair it with privacy or not privacy. Privacy means it'll load all your contacts in, but you can do it with privacy, and then it works basically just hands-free. And then you can also reply with text messaging. So if people call you, you can put do not disturb, and then you can reply to people saying, hey, I'm driving right now, call me back, I'm not trying to die, those kind of things. So I find everything pretty straightforward, and again, great use. Kudos to Jeep. This is a great use of that area that used to be just so large in their vehicles for this gigantic radio that always made it so challenging if you wanted to get an aftermarket radio. Now, very useful. The controls are very simply laid out, really nice. I find that, this is a really ergonomic positioning. The knobs are textured, so when you move them, they actually feel kind of nice. The vents are, not super high quality, but they're nice enough. And then when you look at this, this I thought was nice. When I stepped in the car, it's wood, and then you tap on it, and actually it's plastic with a wood finish. I'm not sure if that's an option that you can get, where you can get real wood in here. I mean, it looks nice, but when you touch it, you can feel that it's low quality. But I will say, one of my things that I will say is that compared to some of the American styling cars in the past, the Jeep Grand Cherokee is actually really, really nice. I mean, if you look at look, fit, and finish, is really nice. The leather seats is actually really soft. It's bolstered on both sides, so when you're driving, you feel pretty comfortable. All in all, I think it's nice. One of the things I thought was kind of cheesy is that most cars are moving to LEDs in terms of, I'm going to close the door so you can see, most cars are moving to LED lighting. These are still using bulbs, which I think is kind of weird, and that's why the light just kind of doesn't look very nice. But it is, for the most part, pretty user-friendly. Like, I mean, it makes sense. Like, tap the light, I don't have to hit a switch on the side. So I thought it's really good. The other thing that I like about this car is that it has this amazing panoramic roof. So I'm going to close it just so you can see what it looks like closed. But it's an amazing panoramic roof that runs almost the full length of the car, and it is, really nice. And if you want, and it's, unlike the panoramic roof on some cars, it is actually completely dark, where some actually it's more so a privacy screen, so light comes through, so you can never get it really dark on the inside. This is actually, a plastic cover, and it gets really dark. And then the headliner of this car, which I'm not sure if this is an option, it's not, Alcantara or suede like some of the other ones, but it is kind of this fabric material, which is actually pretty nice. And I think it wouldn't stain too badly. But anyway, this opens back, and when you push it once, it half opens, and as it goes, it can go all the way back. And then if you push these buttons, you can vent it, or you can go auto. So that's great. One of the things I find kind of interesting and not very intuitive about this car is like this button. Sometimes when you push it, it works to open the trunk. Sometimes you push it, it doesn't work. I'm gonna push it so we can maybe open the trunk and go look at the back. A lot of space. All right, what I wanted to show you guys about the parking of this car is that it is fairly modern with your rear parking camera. So when I throw it in reverse, I just put it in reverse, you'll see that the rear view camera actually is quite good. It shows you a lot of detail about where you're going, and then I'll show you the mirrors. When I'm going forward, the mirrors actually, when I go forward, the mirrors go back to the normal position. When I put it in reverse, the mirrors actually tilt down. So as soon as I put it in reverse, the mirrors tilt down, and then you can see my camera. So I like the fact that the rear view screen is actually pretty clear. It's not high definition, but it's pretty clear. And the parking sensors for the rear are pretty good. What I don't like about the parking system that they have, go ahead and just put it back on again. what I don't like about the parking system, and you can turn it off. If you hear, you can, this button right here, you can turn that sensor off. But what I don't like about the parking system here is that if you look at the screen, it shows the lines. So if I turn the lines actually turn with the wheel. So I'm turning the wheel, the lines turn with the wheel. What I don't like about it though is that it doesn't show you like your distance to the object, right? At least it's not, I don't feel like it's showing me the distance. I mean, I can turn the sensor back on. So the beep gets louder depending on how close you get. But in other cars that I've seen, they actually show you how far you are from the vehicle. And that's what I don't like. So normally would that be here. The other thing I find that is lacking about the parking system of this vehicle, I'm gonna turn it off because that's annoying. The other thing I find that's lacking about the parking system on this vehicle is it only has rear sensors. And I know that is kind of a first world problem, I guess. But many cars now, many less expensive cars, have front and rear sensors. So I'm not going so far to say they need to have, you know, the side sensors or front facing cameras, which many cars have, the front facing, rear facing, and the 360 cameras. But I'm saying that when you're going forward, so I put in forward gear, the camera sensor goes away, but it doesn't tell me how close I'm getting. So I'm gonna do a little test. As you can see, I'm going toward this car right here. I'm going toward the car, nothing. That's not good, because, you know, you may be one of those folks who's accustomed to driving a car that has front and rear sensors, or you may be a new driver, and what you're gonna get is you're gonna bump folks. And you know, the beauty of these sensors that they've created over the years is that I remember years ago when I first started driving in DC, everybody's bumpers would have like these tiny scratches on them. And there's tiny scratches in this area, Virginia, Maryland, and DC. They have front and rear license plates, and so they have those screws on them to keep the plates in. And if somebody bumped you a little bit, you would get a scratch on your bumper. Nowadays, people have sensors, and so you don't get these scratches on your bumpers. So front and rear sensors are actually really useful, and so that's the one thing I don't like. But I do like the fact that it's you know, a nice clear screen, as you can see, and it does give you kind of the option to turn on the kind of the audible sensor that tells you you're getting closer. But to improve it, I would definitely put in front sensors. To really improve it, I would put in front cameras. But I, you know, all those things cost more, and a lot of times people want just kind of what they need out of a car, not the kind of the nice to have. So that's a review of the parking system in the 2018 Jeep Grand Cherokee. And so the other thing I was going to show you, it's pretty large. As you can see, I'm in the back. I'm fully in the back. This is me in the back of the car, and I'm standing up. 6'4", standing all the way up, and the trunk top is all the way up. So it's a lot of space if you needed to put things in the back. The one thing that I find kind of wonky about this truck is that it's not automatic. So you got to push it down. It's power assisted, I guess. But see how you might be able to hear that noise. It's like a hydraulic press pushing this down, and then it closes. So that's kind of wonky. And then when you open it, sometimes with the key it opens, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, it's just kind of strange. All right, anyway, back to the seats. As I was telling you, the seats are nice, leather, and they're pretty well bolstered. I think if you do I think they have upgrades where you can probably get Jeep in here and all those other things. They have a lot of additions, ways to capture consumers' money. But these are actually quite nice, so I would probably venture with getting just the basic options. Here is the control knob, so you can, I'm going to turn the car back on, but you can adjust it for different settings. Snow, it'll change the navigation. You can do 4 low, 4 high. If you're going downhill, it has the kind of descent control. And then these buttons, I think over here, would do something else if you get more upgrades. I spec'd this one out on the internet, and there wasn't really a lot more options you could get for this model. So this is like really the creme of the crop of what you can get. has the standard sunglasses thing, and actually I like this one. This one is larger than some of the other cars that you see. Here is the kind of center console, and it's like your standard fare. You have the 1 or the 2 levels that allows you to open it up, and there's a 12 volt plug in there, so you can plug in a kind of another USB charger if you need a lot of USB charging. The buttons on here are actually quite nice. They're curved up so that when you put your fingers in them, you can pull up fairly easy, but they're one touch, which I like. I know some people with Chryslers have complained about the fact that it's only one touch down, but this is also one touch up. There's no, at least for this one, there's no upgraded sound system. What I find with the sound system in this car, and I would play it, but it's basically bass heavy, and it's not very discerning in terms of the kind of the sounds coming through. But I find that for the most part it's comfortable. As I said, I'm 6'4", and it's pretty comfortable. My legs under the steering wheel. I have it adjusted for my driving style. So let's look at the navigation, or not the navigation. Let's look at the kind of the heads-up display. It is a kind of hybrid. There's a digital component and then the 2 analog sides. So your hot and your cold are analog, your gas is analog, and your kind of your RPMs, your tachometer is analog. But if you look at the speedometer, that is digital. So the whole thing is digital, and you can change it from, it's kind of a strange system. You see on the left-hand side, the wheel moves, and it gives you this kind of the different information that you need. But that whole part is digital, and you can actually change it from miles per hour, which is set to right now, to kilometers, which is also kind of strange. I mean, it would be just super easy to just put both in there, but they didn't. But it's a nice hybrid. It's not a super cutting edge kind of thing, like navigation doesn't show up there, things like that. Now we're going to jump in the back. As you can see here, the back is actually quite nice. So this seat is set for me, and it's not tight. If I sit with my back upright, it's not very tight. And as you can see on the bottom, it's really nice. They have 2 USB ports in the back. It has heated seats in the rear, and it has a standard plug in the back, which is actually really nice. It's a 115 volt plug in the back. They have these pockets, which is kind of standard fare for storing stuff, which I don't know who actually stores stuff like that anymore, but you know, pretty nice. As I said, I am you know, very comfortable back here, and I think if you're like most people in America, smaller than 6'4", I think you'd be super comfortable. Another thing that's cool about this car is standard fare of all the cars, keyless entry, and it's push button start now. So as long as the key is anywhere on your person or in the vicinity inside the car, you can push button start it, and then you know it just starts up and it gives you kind of like your standard information about the car. All the controls are pretty simple and easy. It has a power steering wheel which moves up and down. Like I said, the leather on the steering wheel is actually quite nice. Puts since 1941 Jeep thing here, which I think is kind of cool. I mean, for people who like Jeep history. But all in all, it's actually a really nice car. It has automatic lights, the kind of the standard buttons that you see. It has over here, you can have it has seat memory here, 1 and 2. It's kind of a odd configuration, but I think a lot of American cars actually put it there. The storage capacity that you see, where the cup holders are, pretty standard. 2 cup holders here, and then it has a fair amount of storage spaces all over the car. So all in all, it's actually pretty well laid out. As you can see, I got a lot of headroom. 6'4", sitting upright. I have tons of headroom here, which is actually really nice. And like I said, it's super comfortable back here. I'm sitting back here, just so you can see. I'm back here in a suit. Nice, comfortable, no issues, really. I mean, my seat this is set for 6'4". I'm 6'4", and my knees are against it, but I can move my knees, so I'm cool. It's a nice fit. As I told you before, the seats fold all the way down, and this is removable, and so you can fold the seats back all the way down on both sides, and so you have actually a fair amount of cargo space. And then you see the pictures here. So they have the anchors for the child seats if you so need them. But this folds all the way down, and then folding it back up is quite easy. And the lever on the side is what folds it down. And then again, there's cup holders, and this center console folds down. It's dirty in there, but cup holders. So all in all, I'm pretty pleased with this car. I think that they are, and again, this is standard fare now with the kick plates, but all in all, I think that they do a pretty good job of making the Jeep an affordable alternative to some of your other SUVs, like your Range Rovers and the Mercedes, Jeep, some of the Nissan Jeeps and the Infiniti Jeeps. I think this is a good alternative. If you want to buy American, this is really nice. The wheels are sporty enough. These aren't super sport wheels, but they're sporty enough. And I've gone over some really kind of dangerous bumps in the city, and I have not experienced any flats. I'm gonna open up the hood now. It's pretty simple to figure out. We're gonna go through this. This is gonna be the last thing I'm gonna go through, and then we're gonna end this video. But let's see, what are we doing? I think I can figure it out. There's a lever right there. But anyway, it's a V6. So again, this is one of the reasons why it gets good gas mileage. I'm gonna drop some pictures in here. This cover, similar to European covers, or European cars, they cover up all of the pieces of the engine. But unlike the European cars that allow you to just pull this off, you can pull this off, but they also bolt it in, which I don't know why they do that, but it's kind of weird. But I took some pictures of it, and I'll drop those pictures in so you can see what the engine's like. But it's pretty standard fare. And then if you look in there, that you could, I mean, it's huge in there. I don't know why it needs to be so big in there, but there's a space in there that you probably could put, if you had a heat-proof bag, you probably could put a heat-proof bag down in there to give you some extra storage space. It's kind of crazy, actually. But as you can see, clean, brand new. The front lines of this car, super clean. I like it. Anyway, super quick before I forget, the one last thing I wanted to say about the inside of this car is that it is quite nice in terms of the accents. The car is accented in this nice blue. I had to go in the parking lot so you can see it. But if you look at the cup holders, you look at the USB ports, they actually did a pretty good job with that blue accenting. There's blue accenting lights in the cup holders, the buttons to control the windows and the door locks. Everything's accented blue. It's actually quite nice, and I think Jeep did a very good job with that because the blue is actually comfortable for your eyes. So in terms of styling, it is a really nice design. I like the color. I know some of the other car companies, they have their signature colors, like I know BMW does red and things like that, and I think Audi does like a soft white light, LED white, but this is nice. Again, one of my big complaints about this is that they didn't do LED lighting. They did regular bulb lighting, which is fine, but if you hold onto a car for a long time, those bulbs eventually go out, and they're a pain in the butt to change out yourself, and of course you can always pay someone at the dealership. But anyway, that's all I want to say about the interior of the car. So that's my video today, going through the 2018 Jeep Grand Cherokee. I have to say, 2 weeks of driving it, I love it. I was considering getting an SUV again. Maybe I would have this as my second car. It doesn't drive like a sedan. It drives like an SUV, but I think it's actually pretty good. The ride is really good. It's pretty quiet. It has fairly good power. What I would say the kind of the detracting things about it that I don't like is that the back rear hatch is kind of quirky. Oh, and the other thing I forgot to mention, and maybe this is just kind of unique to this one, is that sometimes the OnStar system just kind of cuts out for no reason. So I think that may be a Bluetooth compatibility issue that maybe I was having with my phone. But other than that, I'm really pleased with the car. And so, if you want to buy one, I would definitely go out to the Jeep folks and have them give you a test drive. Anyway, with that, GB out.